the best way I can put it for anybody in this world is if you love it, speak up for it because not a lot of people will. And the more people that stay quiet about protecting something that they love, the easier it's going to be able to take away.
Welcome to Guys Fishing Weekly. We don't just fish, we hug.
Hey, buddy.
What are you doing, dude?
Oh, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing. What are you up
You're
to?
just doing. I am recovering from
A tough day of fishing? Yeah, I know.
a tough day of fishing. Yeah, it was a great day of fishing. I am recovering, mostly from a trip that I took to a very, very hot and humid Georgia and Tennessee. Mm-hmm. For my daughter's softball. Yeah, and then we had like a 3-hour delayed flight and getting back at 4 a.m. And you know how little sleep does me, Ed. You know what happens to Reid when he doesn't get his sleep.
You were probably a grumpy monkey.
Yeah, I was a grumpy monkey, that's for sure. Yeah. It's, yeah. So anyway, that's I'm recovering from that. But nothing cures fatigue and tired like a day
Ditching
out
work
on the
for
river.
fishing, yeah.
That's right, ditching work for fishing. Yep, that always makes me happy. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
Love it.
Yep.
Well, I'm here. Here I'm just grinding through summer. Spent a long couple days sitting by the pool. We got a pool membership, so
that sounds rough.
The daughter's loving time at the pool. I burnt my skin and then added onto it the next day, so that was awesome. But summer's in full force. 100 degrees here yesterday.
They do. Ooh, man. Yeah, that's no good. That's what it was like in Georgia when we were playing. It sucked the life out of our players, and they're not used to that. Do you know what I mean? That's an adjustment for them, and you could tell like as the games went on, and they played 2 games in a day, and it was just like you could definitely tell the energy level was different as the days wore on. So it was pretty funny.
I got to imagine coming from no humidity at like 90 to all the humidity at 85 is a huge difference. Yeah, 85 and humid is pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was mid 90s when we were there with humidity, and so it was brutal. And and I'm not used to living in air conditioning either. And so it's like you go from like extreme heat and you come inside and then it's like AC blasting. And then you know what I mean? Like that back and forth to those extremes, that took a toll too. I mean, I was like sniffling with runny nose and all that. It was crazy. Anyway, yeah. So it was quite the experience, but I think it's a good one for them to get to play in that stuff. So it's another experience that I think will hopefully promote growth in them to see what that's like. So it's good stuff, good experiences.
So what are you celebrating this week?
I am celebrating my day yesterday. I got to go out and do some fishing, and it's the first time since our guys fishing weekend. And the rivers are cranking. I was not at all optimistic about my chances because I was reading river reports and knew that it was high. But I went up on Clear Creek anyway and chucked streamers, and yeah, dude, I got in some fish, which was great. And Clear Creek is crushing right now. It's high and it's blowing, but I found some soft spots and on some streamers that I tied myself, which is always a bonus. But yeah, so I was able to put some fish in the net, and there's nothing, like you say, there's nothing that cures, the drive and the dregs of long summer days than hooking some fish. So, especially when you skip work for it. So yeah, so that was good. So that's what I'm celebrating. How about you? What are you celebrating?
Like I said, it's the the grind of summer, which is an awesome grind, but
I think they call it the dog days.
The dog days. I don't think that's a fair.
Are we there?
I love
yet?
summer. No, I love summer. So it's hard for me to dog on them too much, but in the middle of summer, it's just like things kind of slow down. There's not a ton of crazy things to celebrate. So my celebration's a little bit small this week, but it's something I'm proud of getting on the starting line again, training regularly, getting up early, and hitting the pavement to run the marathon this fall in October. So I'm just celebrating myself for just getting on the starting line. Tiny thing, but that's that got to celebrate the little things too.
Win. Yup. That's a win.
Yep.
Good, dude. Nice.
So, and nice. I'm going to lead that right into what I'm working on too, which is
what you're navigating.
Yeah, what I'm navigating. Yeah. I'm navigating the meal prep and trying to figure out, on how to stop eating out so much. So been doing a lot of eating out, and got to figure out how to reel that bad habit back in, as well as, eat right to get this training under control. And so meal prep is something that I'm kind of finding some love in, and that's a weird thing to love, but prepping out big batches and pre-portioning everything makes my eating consistency way better than it is when I just open the fridge and I'm like, I have to put this together. When it's already like in its own little container and I can just throw it in or just start eating it. Huge improvement. So
way different. Absolutely.
But meal prep, that's what I'm navigating, trying to figure out good meals. So if anybody has any good meals out there that are great meal prep recipes, hit me up.
Good stuff, dude.
What are you up to? What are you navigating?
I think that recently, yesterday, you gave me the task of doing some tech stuff with getting our newsletter together and doing some stuff with that. And the tech thing it's paralyzing for me. It's almost like a deer in headlights. Like, okay, wait, what do I got to do now? So I'm navigating that. And I think it is, when I talk about that idea of paralyzing, it's a matter of, I just got to dive in and get started. And if I screw it up, I screw it up. And giving myself that freedom to do that, and grace that it takes to do that. I think that's kind of, that's navigation for me in this new role, in this new work that I have, is getting past that. Like you said, kind of like, your celebration of getting on the starting line again for your running, right? I think that's kind of me. I just need to get onto the starting line of this tech stuff and dive in and go. But it can be that paralyzing feeling for me with it. So I just got to get over it. Quit being such a, so hard on myself and beat myself up. So
you're better at it than you think you are. You're just not great self-talk. But just remember, you are replaceable. So if it doesn't work out, we can always axe you and find somebody else. I can only be so nice for so long, and then I got to.
That's right. And then you got to bring me back to earth. All right.
I'm self-talk. You're right. Well, this week we have a great conversation.
Absolutely. Super stoked.
We're speaking with Afuera Outdoors. They're an organization focused on educating and connecting Latino and indigenous communities with nature through hunting, fishing, and now even skiing. Today on the show, we talk about topics including getting the next generation into the outdoors, conservation, mentorship, sobriety, finding your purpose, and so much more.
Yeah, super stoked.
It's going to be a great one. So we'll catch you on the flip side. Let's get into it.
Okay, sounds good, bud.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. We're excited to have you on the show and hear a little bit about what you're doing and what you're all about. So we're excited for this.
Appreciate you.
So why don't you start out by giving us a little bit of a background on yourself?
My name is Joshua Torrez. I was born in Denver, Colorado. I own a company called Afuera Outdoors, which is a company designated to getting minorities, specifically Latinos and indigenous communities, into the outdoors, whether it's fishing or hunting. And then we're actually kind of doing a little bit of skiing on the side as well. And it's just kind of, as we've been growing, we're finding more opportunities to do that I like.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
So what originally got you into the sport of fishing and all of that?
So I grew up being a Colorado guy. Go up to Leadville, Colorado, and those little streams there, and you get worms and you fish. You catch 10 of them. You pick them up and you have a good meal, and just, it was just a good bonding moment for me and Dad. And he's just basically been my fishing partner ever since. And I split to fly fishing, and he kind of stuck his way. And then I remember kind of the day that we walked our separate ways, and he went his, with the worm, and I went with the fly, and I came back and I caught my first big fish off the rod there. Super special. So then I moved into fly fishing officially, and yeah, fishing has just been a part of my life, and it's what makes me happy and gives me an opportunity to be in the mountains.
That's fantastic. I love the idea of the shared activity of fishing with your old man. That's pretty cool. You have a daughter, correct? How has that idea of fishing with your dad and family kind of passed on to you and your daughter?
So my daughter, I've been a single father, so my daughter did what I've done. So there's nothing more special and tough to see than your own child becoming really, really good at the things that you love, such as fly fishing, skiing, rock climbing, all those things, but at the same time realizing that they're becoming better than you.
Let that ego go, right?
When I'm just feeling like I'm on top of my game, my daughter shows me how easy some of these things are to do just by not putting your brains into it and just doing it.
That's great.
And so has she been a reason that you've stuck with fishing, or why have you stuck with the fishing and the outdoors kind of your whole life?
It's kind of cool. So I was in a position to where I got asked to speak for the National Monument for the Arkansas River out in Salida because I'm fly fishing. The Arkansas River is a really good pastime of mine with my friends, and I've caught a really, really big fish there through Browns Canyon, just on a float, and so I absolutely just kind of loved that part of it. And then I owned a company at that time, and they asked me, Hispanic man, business owner, father, we'd like to hear what you have to say, from Denver. What do you think about the Arkansas River? And obviously I spoke, pretty highly of it because I've had nothing but great experiences there. Then that moved into me being asked to be on the Colorado Wildlife Federation board. And so the opportunities became more because I started hanging out with more fishermen, which is always great. And so then that turned into me going to the National Wildlife meetings, their annual meetings, and getting to know other states and meeting other fishermen. And then in that time, kind of going, hey, these are great for what I'm seeing. I really like this, but I think one of their big pushes as well is just trying to get more color in the outdoors, and that's kind of what struck me, and kind of why I started Afuera Outdoors. Hey, I love this stuff. This is exactly who I am and what I like to do, and I would love to show anybody else that would show any interest. And there is interest. The fact of the matter is, people just nobody approaches them. It's one of those. All these sports, a lot of the times, are kind of self-starters, or your father handed it down to you, or your uncle or something. And when that kind of generation of hunting and angling ends, then a lot of the outdoor activities for children, to look forward to are gone. So, being able to kind of step in and be that guide, at least to give that one kid that first chance to catch that first fish, right? And so that's where the passions come from. And I don't even fish during my projects. We do projects all throughout the USA because I just absolutely love taking the big old fish off the hook, showing it to the kid, let him do the picture, and showing them what it's all about, and discussing with them, what are you going to do with this? You want to eat this? You want to how's that going to work for you? And that opens their eyes to a whole different world. Food is expensive, right? Yeah. Hunting and angling, you can feed your family. So that's kind of the consistency that's been going in my life. It's just the childhood enjoyment to, hey, let's start standing up in conservation as a hunter and angler, because we do have a voice there. Then those voices need to be heard because we are the guys out there genuinely being on that land and trying to take care of that land. So.
That's great. Josh, tell us about one of your projects. Like, what does it look like when you go into a community or whatever, and you're getting these kids involved? Give us a little bit of detail and explaining one of your projects and what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So my longest running one is Dia de Pesca, and it's downtown Denver. We usually get about 1,000 family members and kids. We give away about 400 fishing poles, and we work with Fish and Game, and so they give me about 1,000 fish in the lake. So I got a stocked lake downtown Denver with fishing poles and music and food, tacos, all that stuff. And every year it gets more and more successful. More and more people want to be a part of it. And so we've connected with the Colorado Wildlife Federation because obviously I'm a board member. So bring them in. And then we're partners with the Denver Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And Pepsi is one of our sponsors. I mean, so we've got a lot of things going for that. We just did one in downtown Las Vegas. And then we just did one up in the Coeur d'Alene Reservation as well. So they're popping up all over as well. It's just the opportunity. If you don't have a fishing pole, we got one for you. If you've never got a fish, there's a fish in there for you. If you want to catch a fish, go get it. Here's everything you need. And if you need to know how to cast it, let me show you how. And it brightens everybody's day. And if you have the tool to catch that fish, then you're going to go again. I hope, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a great experience to give them that kind of connectivity to the outdoors. And I think that that's such a huge part, of living in Colorado, especially, and all the places you mentioned, that you're doing these things. That's a connectivity piece to the land and kind of that idea. I know that this idea of giving back to your community, isn't something that just came out of the blue. We've talked in a little bit of your background in terms of like what your parents did in terms of kind of like giving back to community. Talk a little bit about how that came about for you and this desire to kind of give back. You kind of got a little bit of that from your parents, didn't you? Weren't they involved?
No, absolutely. So my father was like the chairman of the board for the Denver Hispanic Chamber. He was one of the founders for the Hispanic Contractors of Colorado. Just did a lot of good legwork for Hispanics in construction. And then my mom, worked within diversity for Quest, US West, whatever you want to call it. So she got really engaged with that. And then she actually became the vice president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So my family generally has cared about like, hey, let's get our folks involved. Let's get us into construction where there's opportunity. Let's get people together. Let's start talking. Let's start using our minds. We have the ability to do these great things. Let's help each other do it. And for me, I got stuck in the corporate world for a little while, and when you're kind of sitting there with your head down and you're looking out the window and understanding that there's so many other things to do in this world to make it better, but you realize, like, okay, so I make this good cash and I become this zombie and feel bad about like everything that's going on in the world, or I kind of just I go for it and I give it a shot and see if I can try to do something to make a difference. And it's a struggle. Nobody's handing me cash to do this stuff. It's me generally putting these things together and making it work. And they're getting better and better, and it's super exciting. So, and today they actually just wrote an article about me on that Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership about kind of exactly what we're talking about. So everything's kind of coming together greatly.
That's awesome. We're so glad things are coming together, and all the service that your family's provided over the years is awesome. It kind of goes in line with what you were saying a little bit earlier about really like mentoring and giving back to your community, and speak more on the idea around being a mentor to these kids where there isn't one in the lost generation of fishermen in their life. Speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important it's super easy things. You just got to put the hook with it and put it together. But if nobody shows you how to do it, it's like learning how to drive a stick shift car. Like super easy, but you just don't know how to do it until you show it, and then the excitement.
It's another lost art.
But just really being able to get down on eye level with kids. I'm a soccer coach too. And for little guys, I just got done coaching little 5-year-olds last weekend. And it's something that I really enjoy, is just being on eye level with little guys and letting them know that they can get up there. They just got to kind of learn and listen a little bit. And I've got great teachers. If I'm not there to teach them, I always have fishing game there to show them what to do too. So there's just so many pieces that we just love to show, and whether it's, it's all the stuff I guess that comes with it. So
For sure. And what do you think it means to the kids to have a mentor like you in their life? It's got to be awesome for them and awesome for you.
it makes me feel good to think that they're out there fishing.
Yeah.
But the reality is I know from the faces that I see that this is an impact that will take them to something for the rest of their lives, whether it's the one time they do it or the starting to them going into a very expensive lifestyle of fly fishing. But it's like we all got to have hobbies, and why not try to direct these hobbies into something like that where it's fun? And so I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on that.
That's awesome. Now, you also have talked about the hunting side of it. I am not a hunter. I have family who are. How has that been in terms of um, getting the Latino community into? Have you done much work around that aspect of it?
We're looking into doing a bird hunt. It's a process. We got to get rifles.
Right.
Got to get kids. We got to get kids that are, that have gone through the process of getting their hunter safety license. And so just really understanding, I guess, how to piece that puzzle together. But there is interest. We did find some. I did find some land actually in Washington, where a guy wants to give us an opportunity to take a bunch of kids out there. So there's places now that I know to go. It's just a matter of putting together the program to do it. But fishing is such a simple process that it's
Right.
taken off. So
Right. I imagine, yeah, that's probably a lot easier. But I also know that the hunting side has been something that you've done a bit of in your past. So that's kind of cool that you're trying to bridge that gap, as well as the skiing, right? Getting them involved in that.
yeah, so I've worked on a ski mountain for over like 5 years. I've been raising my daughter up in North Idaho. And so within that, I was able to get connected with Alterra because Alterra bought out our ski mountain. And then there was an event that we had when we were kids called Ski Fiesta. It went on for 20 years. It raised scholarship funds for kids, Hispanic kids. And so because of my connections through the mountain, I reached out to them and said, hey, we would like to revive this. So now I'm actually the events that my parents, like we were talking about, were doing and taking me to as a child, because I didn't ski much either. My opportunity to ski was very, very little as well. It was on these events where it's like, sweet, this is skiing. This is great. I love this. And so now we're going to be able to set up this huge event again. Up in Winter Park is where we're setting it up. We're meeting today to get the date down. But yeah, skiing is something that I grew up always wanting to be excellent at. And I finally got there, but it took me to be an older man to do it. As for my daughter, she's a ski instructor. She's incredible on the mountain. So it's awesome just to see that transfer of knowledge to my own child, to see how wonderful just you can be in the mountains and everything like that. So Ski Fiesta is going to be I'm really excited about that and really proud of it.
I'm envious of the way that you have been able to, generationally continue that kind of work from your parents down to you, down to your daughter. The connectivity between that is so awesome. It's so amazing to see those kinds of things happen. Not everybody gets to experience that kind of thing. And so I just think that that's an incredible feat to you, and big kudos to you to be able to do that, to carry on kind of that legacy of your parents and what they've done and their actions, and giving back. And you're continuing to do that, dude. And it's just amazing, and connecting, kids with the outdoors. And it's not just, in this one realm, it's all of these different realms that you're able to do that. It's really cool stuff, dude. Love that.
Appreciate you. No, it's fun. It's my daughter. So she's been showing up to some of my fishing events. So she's blonde hair and blue eyes, but she really took every color that I did. And so she shows up to these events, and like I'm just like, this is who we are, right? Like, and it's really cool for her to just embrace it and love it and just be a part of it, because she's just like, this is my dad and this is what he does. And she coaches soccer with me as well. So like, it's one of those things where she's gonna have that level of knowledge of being able to communicate with the community and get the word out of, hey, we want to conserve this place and keep it going good. just because we love playing in this land so much, right?
Absolutely. And that's a big part of what you do too, is teaching conservation. Speak a little bit about that and your time, on the boards of these things and the importance of that, and passing that on to the young community.
Yeah, I mean, it's really what I've best way I can put it is the best way I can put it for anybody in this world is if you love it, speak up for it, because not a lot of people will. And the more people that stay quiet about protecting something that they love, the easier it's going to be able to take away. And that's really the thing that I kind of, try to drill in is, if I can keep these kiddos get these kiddos in a river or something where they love fishing there, there's no way that they're going to allow somebody to go put trash in that river, right? Down the road, 10 years down the road, because we got to look to the future of what that looks like as well. And, kiddos that are just like seeing how beautiful this land is, just getting introduced to it, right? And they're going to stand up for it and they're going to speak up for it. But we got to teach them to have a voice and let them know, like guys like me, like I never knew as a hunter and angler that my voice mattered. I was just happy to be outside and appreciate what was given to me, right? Like but because of my passion and what comes with it, that goes a long way. Washington D.C., they want to hear from the people that are actually out there doing the things that they want to be doing and knowing about it. So, I mean, that's led to me going to D.C. Through working on the Farm Bill, going out through National Wildlife Federation, going and talking to the senators of Colorado. So it's just kind of it's getting bigger and bigger. It was just a small little piece of this little pebble that turned into a big old snowball of passion, and it's great because I have no idea what I'm doing when I go out there and do these things. Like I don't know how to convince somebody. All I know is, hey, this is my story and this is what I love. And this is why I think that you should kind of consider, protecting it or what have you. And showing up, because it's for me, I'm a nervous guy. Like that's my I hang out on the river to relax and that's my home. But if I'm standing there in a suit and tie, all bundled up, like in this process, like I'm not comfortable, right? And like so, like people don't understand that. Like I look smiles and everything, but inside I'm sweating bullets, going, "Oh my god, I can't," like, and show it, because I'll wear my eyeglasses and they'll start fogging up, and I'm like,
Uh-oh.
"Oh my god."
Oh boy, oh boy.
So, but yeah, so it's just like I said, and if we can just give that one pebble to a kiddo to say, hey, this is your pebble of idea, of purpose to respect this to love this land and try to make sure it stays awesome. It'll turn into something like me, and that's my hope. And the more pebbles we give out there, the more opportunity we have for more snowballs down the road.
Fantastic. That's a lot of building the future, and I think that's a big piece of it too, is that for us guys that are out there fishing on a regular basis, we tend to take that stuff for granted. And so I think that's great that you're trying to build that and teach that younger generation. Good stuff, dude.
It's funny that you say, we need to hand out more pebbles. We've had some conversations with some other people who've talked about, there actually being kind of a fear of the future of like what is happening with getting more people out into our sport. And it seems like with, maybe social media and the rise of technology, that kids aren't getting out more into nature. I guess how concerned are the organizations, the conservation organizations that you work with, or just the wildlife organizations about that issue?
I guess the best way to respond to that is they welcome a conversation. As an old sales guy, like where you would call somebody and they didn't want to hear from you, these people are actually picking up the phone and saying, please get these kids out. Please show them what they can do. Get them outdoors. And so I'm becoming a little bit more bold and asking and getting into deeper, groups. So we just did the Coeur d'Alene tribe, and we have not done anything with the indigenous tribes at all. And that's really exciting for us because that is a part of my heritage that's kind of just a little bit in the process, deeper down there. So it's really neat to kind of combine my heritage as well into it. So it's welcome, including them. As we talk to them, I said, hey, dads just aren't teaching their sons how to fish anymore, and they're like, you're absolutely right. So it's across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we all need to focus on and be aware of, and be more welcoming. I think there's a lot of conversation of, secret fishing hole, or the secret bait that works in this lake or whatever. And being more open to getting people. I think there's plenty of it to go around when you can actually get people out there and doing it. And something that we are big proponents of is getting more people out and enjoying the sport, doing it with one another, making those connections, those friendships, those memories. And so huge kudos to you and what you're doing with all those organizations for sure.
Well, and the coolest thing, I forgot to mention this, it was, I was just a fisherman, and it was, once I got on the board, Colorado, worked with Colorado Parks. They did this mentorship for adults that wanted to learn how to hunt, because I was in my 20s. And it was kind of embarrassing to be like, hey, man, I really don't know how to do this. Took me through everything. They taught me, everything about bird hunting to deer hunting. I went through all their lessons to bow hunting. So it's out there. It's just, now the goal is to make sure that that's in Spanish, right? Like, it's just trying to give those opportunities to other folks that want to go out and try that. So, because it's hard to get out there and learn. Nobody's willing to teach this stuff really, because it's a personal time and enjoyment and hobby. And what do we do with the personal time and hobbies is we go out and enjoy them. And we sometimes forget that, I can show you how to do this too, but don't bother me.
It's a huge problem. Like, so I mean, I grew up in Colorado, and have moved out of the state for a while, maybe forever. I don't know. Hopefully I'll be back. But, going into another state and learning how to fish, doesn't seem like, how to fish, right? You grew up fishing the lakes and rivers of Colorado. Well, fishing in Kansas City and the surrounding states is very different in a lot of ways. And learning about where to go, how to get onto the water, how to, what kind of equipment you need to go after those other styles of fish, it can be intimidating to do that. And if you don't have people around you that are showing you how to do those things, like you say, a teacher generation above you, it's hard to you can watch YouTube videos and do all that, but to see it in real life is so much different. And so it's a big important thing for sure to have somebody who can show you the ropes.
No, absolutely. I feel that same way when I'm up in North Idaho, because you're right by Montana, and Colorado rivers are wonderful and beautiful, but they're not monstrous like those ones up there. Like, there's some serious rivers up there, and like you can fall in and die. So it's just, having to understand, oh, maybe I gotta ask somebody how to handle this location. Like, where does the guy like me fish that usually goes in the river to fish, not like from this, like it's a little bit deeper there.
Right. Or like that show River Monsters. You think all fish look like 18 to 24-inch rainbow trout, and then you go and see and it's like, oh my God, there's some big fish out in the world. Like, I would not even know where to begin. I'd be dead.
Absolutely.
So obviously we all kind of come from the same area, and we would love to get on the water together one day. I guess if we were to come out and you were to take us on a trip in your neck of the woods, maybe it could be in the Denver area or up in Coeur d'Alene or whatever. I guess let's live plan a trip together. What would the trip with like a 4-day weekend together look like?
So I found a great spot up. We've been trying to do a lot more work down in Alamosa, and the Conejos River. I went there with my dad and my mom and I really enjoyed just every single thing that had to do with that river. Not to mention I caught. I was catching fish super awesome.
That always helps.
Well, it was really cool because so like the fly shop that was there, like that, what I was taught like in any of these classes that I went when I was younger is always talk to the local fly shop, see what they got to say, ask them there, so I went to the fly shop and got some flies and talked to them, and basically what they told me worked. So, but it's one of those things where you're trying to teach your dad and your dad's trying to fly fish, but he gets to tangle a little bit, and your mom is just kind of not really doing too much, but so it's running back and forth between fixing their rod and going out and catching fish at the same time. And it was, to me, at one point, my dad gives him compliments, but not too often. He's like, "You're a pretty good fisherman, son." Like, wow, Dad, thanks, man. And so, but that river, really, really cool. The community, it's an interesting area. It's way back there. way back, we're kind of within the New Mexico area. So like the food is wonderful in the community there. There's this little restaurant that we pulled into right before and after they have these stuffed sopapillas, and they have red and green chili. They call it Christmas, and it's just so yeah. That's where I take you. I think we probably have to do a little camping though, because why not? It's gorgeous.
We're game for some camping, and I guess what was that restaurant called?
I gotta find that out because man, it's one of those things that it was just on the corner of the road, right? And it's like, let's try this one out. And it was the only place that we could have a dog outside because my dad brought his pup, and it turned out to be wonderful. So I'll find out for you, and we'll nail that down for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, sometimes those hole in the walls on the corner are the best. Although it can be a coin flip. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's diarrhea city.
2 days in a row, so we were stoked. So I was like, all right, I need to know. Yeah. I try to be I lift weights, so I try to not eat that stuff too often. And this is one of those. You know what? I'm going to eat this as many days as possible until I can.
Right.
You're allowed to on a fishing weekend.
That's right.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
That's when you throw everything out the window that you normally do. On a weekend of fishing, anything goes.
I love it. Yeah, I gotta have more of those.
Do you get out camping a lot?
I did, man. I had all the stuff up in North Idaho. We did a lot of camping. Mainly it was I tried to teach my daughter how to do some backpacking and just general camping, just to wake up in the morning and catch that morning fish. But now camping is a little bit more difficult in a lot of places just because it's a little packed. It's a little busy. So
right.
You really one of my favorite line was, there's nothing worse than going to a spot 3 hours down the road to run into a bunch of Denver folks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, now with all the reservations and stuff online, people can book out trips. It's crazy. You got to find some real, off the beaten path places to camp anymore.
Yeah.
In Colorado, it's such a big deal. So, yeah, you got to be pretty mindful of that stuff. We've done it right though.
Yeah, we did camp in. Me and my daughter. She's 15. She can drive now. And we drove from North Idaho down to Colorado, and we pulled it in 2 days, which is pretty tough. So we slept in the national park in our car for Yellowstone National Park. It was pretty good. We checked out the geysers and everything, and it was pretty cool. But that's about the most camping I've had this summer thus far.
Cool. We'll have to get together and do some. We love getting out, getting off the beaten path, and getting out into wilderness. So it'd be fun to go up and do that together.
Done and done.
Well, we can probably wrap this up, I guess, with a little bit of lighthearted rapid fire questions.
All right, dudes, let's do it.
So what is one thing that you're celebrating in your life?
Well, a couple months ago, I hit 4 years of no alcohol.
Congratulations.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
You're speaking to two individuals who have experience in that. So that's a huge accomplishment. And kudos for that. How's it been different living that way?
Well, my first priority is not making sure I have a 12-pack up on the river with me anymore. and I actually fish a little bit better, and my fly choices are a little bit cleaner, and the process looks a lot better. Within that, I literally got my body back in order, started doing all the things that I should have been doing a long time ago. But the craziest thing is it built a different confidence. It built my true confidence that I'd lost. Because, for me, it was a lot of the times it was a lot of business meetings, and, a lot of alcohol was always there. And, being able to snap out of that situation and get away from it is very difficult. So, I get a little bit more lonely because I don't go out as much, and that's fine with me, but because I'm not chasing chaos anymore. So, yeah, I'm very proud.
That's a great way to put it, chasing chaos. I think anybody who's struggled with it a little bit could attest to that. And the chaos looks a little different for everybody, but that's exactly what it is, right? That chasing chaos piece. That's a great way to put that. Josh, share with us one piece of content that you'd recommend for our listeners? That could be a book, TV show, whatever. Something that you've read recently, or anything that you've seen, a piece of content that could be good for our listeners.
I've personally been enjoying Huberman Labs. I don't know. I know I'm not the most brilliant man in the world, but I know that dude's pretty smart, and he makes it easy for me to understand certain things, and the subjects that he goes into are pretty enjoyable. For me, I like podcasts for like going around and being in the house, cleaning and getting stuff done, and being educated kind of at the same time. It sticks with me better. I don't know if that's just because I've got that over energetic lifestyle, but yeah, just I just content like that makes you want to be better for yourself, and it keeps you positive. Affirmations, gratitude, all those things, meditations. That's super important. I do Jose Silva meditations, which are pretty cool, to alpha beats, and the more you consider, the more you talk to yourself in a positive manner, the more you love yourself, the better you're gonna be. And the more you talk down to yourself, the more you hate yourself, the more you're gonna like yourself. Is basically what I've learned.
Right on.
No doubt. Self-talk's a huge thing. I work on that as well. So,
I think we all do.
Yep. What is one of your favorite fishing memories?
So I'll go back to the Browns Canyon one. So this was some pals. We went rafting the day before, and they're like, "Hey," my buddy's like, "Hey, my bro's gonna go down the Browns Canyon today. If you want to hitchhike back home," and I'm like, "Back to Denver? All right." He's like, "They're gonna fish. Bring your fly rod." I'm like, "He needs a raft guide," so I'm like, "All right, well, that'd be cool. Like, I'll hitchhike. I don't know how to do this stuff, but I'll figure it out." So we went down the canyon, and there's these spin rodders were on with us, and they were just killing it, man. Boom, 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 boom. And my buddy was just watching my fly, and he's just like, "Torrez, come on, man, I can hear it. You got to make it a pretty fly, pretty fly." And so literally, there's this part in the river where we're going down the rapid, like a legit rapid, and I drop it clean, nice little stone fly, and then just one of the biggest yanks I've ever got as we're going down the rapid. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Pull this thing in, just the most monster brown. It was just, to me, I'm like, I made it. I made it, dude. Like, I found it. Come on. And so I kept it. I took it home to eat. So I got a bag of ice, put it in a little trash bag, put it at the truck stop, and stuck my finger out, and I got home, and that was legit. That was my deal. Best fly, because you know what? I had to get it. Sometimes you gotta be in that uncomfortable position to get that fish that you want, and I did it. I was proud of myself because I'm able to talk to you guys today about that story.
Yeah, hitchhiking with a fish on ice.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
One of those things, well, right? I'm like, we got to eat this thing. That was a proud moment.
So good. Hey, Josh, give us what's one piece of advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self, or wish you would have got when you were your 20-year-old self?
Oh, man, just believe in yourself. Life is gonna throw you zingers, right? And you never know. I don't know. Let me think here. That was the other thing. Find your purpose. You're going to spend your whole life looking for something, and you're not going to know what it is. And then it's going to be, what that thing is purpose. And once you find it, live it, because you'll be happy. I find whenever I get out of the realm of trying to get out of what I'm doing right now, just because it is a difficult lifestyle of not, being in the corporate world and making the money that you usually do, I get uncomfortable and unhappy, and my internal soul is not happy. And so for me is, trust your purpose and follow your soul.
Yeah, that was awesome. How would you recommend people go about finding their purpose? What was one or two tips that worked well for you?
And it's tough, but it's letting go of the past, genuinely shedding everything that is holding you back, whether it's issues with your parents, issues with friends, just let all that anger and sadness go, because you got to let it go. And until you do that, then you can make the step of, okay, now I've let it go. Now I got to put back in everything that I love about myself and regain, my affirmations and gratitude. Who the heck am I? Okay, now I know who I am. Now what do I want to do? Where do I want? And just kind of keep moving. But you got to let go of things that are holding you back, and that's your own mind sometimes, and the things that those grudges or resentments and I myself. I mean, I held resentments for 30 years. It's like, dude, just let it go.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's amazing the little things we hang on to, isn't it? That don't do us any good.
Well, and then with the alcohol on top of it, it's
Mm-hmm.
even worse and deeper. And then it's like, no more. So, and I mean,
Right.
it's one of those routines where you got to do. You got to kind of every year. All right, dude, let it go. Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant cleanse. So,
and that's the thing, the work never stops, right? It's a continuous process. The humility piece and being able to admit your own faults and work on those. It's work, and it's a long process, and it never ends. But that's, I think, ultimately, when I look at you and all the things that you're accomplishing and you're working towards, you smile a lot and you laugh a lot, and that's what it's about, and that's what that constant work does. It leads you to a place where you can enjoy what you're doing so much more, and you can really be present and laugh, and that's good stuff, dude. So that's good advice.
thank you.
What's your definition of community?
For me, food, dance, people, fun, right? Just that, like, it's a cultural thing maybe, but like, I just love that, like, whether it's a barbecue or something, just getting people together and having that food within your culture, having, dancing and music and things like that, and making people enjoy themselves, because how can you not in the moment like that, where good food and good music and good people, and that's community to me. And that's, I've got a small community in a lot of different areas that I love, and that I'm able. But I also am grateful that the communities that I'm trying to get welcome me in. It's that's the thing of respecting each other's communities, right? And showing them that you're willing to be open to their community and not go there and be rude.
Right. I love that idea. You had described that as part of your one of your events, in terms of, you got all these kids around the lake and you're fishing and you got music pumping, you got like food trucks there. Yeah, dude, that I want that. I'm in that next event when you need some guides. I'm in, dude.
Done and done. Tacos brings everybody. Everybody's happy with it.
Tacos cure everything.
That's how I feel. It's the Robitussin of our folk.
That's great.
All right, so we've been doing this tradition now, kind of calling it the conversation between guests. But we have one question from our previous guest to ask you, and then we'll ask you for a question to ask for our next guest. The question on our last podcast was from Pops Flies. Ray Cameron asked, what motivated you to say yes to being on this podcast?
I've never done one before. I had to experience it, and so you guys are super cool. It was an opportunity to chat with you, and I was like, you know what? You look good, you feel good. Let's get on camera.
Awesome.
Right on. I think there's a lot of when we sat down and we talked that first time, a lot of shared value in terms of what you're doing with Afuera Outdoors. And what we're trying to do with GFW. Community is such a big piece of it, in that connectivity piece. And so that was good, good vibes with us. And certainly that connectivity piece worked. And so we're grateful that you did say yes, because what you're doing is really good stuff.
Yeah. I like what you're doing as well. It's, because I am, a man that needs that fishes, and I do have emotional issues and things like that too. I've got my loneliness that happens, and seeing guys that are out there that are really engaging and trying to connect in that way. Because friends are hard to make, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's not because of anything other than I just don't know if I have time, and if I do have time, like I gotta make, like it's just all those things that you gotta put together. You gotta prioritize certain things, and and when you're a parent and all that stuff, it's just like, oh my gosh. So,
Right.
For sure.
I appreciate it. I really do. Now I got new now, and the fishing pals are the best because I've learned so many cool tricks from so many guys, and I'm just like, oh, so that's really how that works. Got it. Great, thanks.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So, but thank you, appreciate you.
So what would one question be for our next guest that you'd like to ask them?
Where is your favorite place to fish?
Okay.
Cool. Good.
I always like to know the.
Heck yeah, we do
That's
too.
exactly right. Yes, indeed.
We'll put the screws into him and really get the secret intel out of him.
We may have to. That's all right. We will.
I like it.
Well, this has been awesome. I guess give us a little bit of where people can get in touch with you.
I've got Afuera Outdoors is my Instagram handle. Afuera.online is my website. And yeah, both of those will get you pretty well connected. And LinkedIn, we're on LinkedIn as well as Afuera Outdoors. And GPS is coming up next year in the springtime. And I may have another project here in Grand Junction this year. So yeah, things are popping. So please take a look out for us, please.
Awesome. And are there any ways that people can get involved?
I can always use fishing poles. We did a talk up in Grand Junction at the school there, where like, what's the other thing? Rifles. We donated rifles so we can be able to shoot some shotguns. And people can help. Just get out there and enjoy what I'm doing is just watching kids catch fish.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff, dude.
Heck yeah. So we'll make sure we let people know all those things and encourage people to get out and do stuff, and maybe we can do something together, joint event at some point.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Yeah, we'd love to be a part of your stuff and help you out in any way that we can, in terms of, helping you guide, do whatever in one of your events down here. So, yeah, we look forward to being involved in the future. Josh, we appreciate you being on the podcast with us.
Guys, I appreciate you as well.
We'll talk soon. And what a great conversation.
That was fantastic. Josh is such a positive dude. And so that, the guy never is at a loss for smiles and laughter. He's such a good guy and so positive about what he's doing. It's a great conversation.
Yeah. Infectious personality.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's easy to see why he's doing what he's doing. And I got to be honest, I think that it's special in that, his parents' involvement in their community and growing community, and now his doing that, that mentorship of what he saw his parents doing and his being able to give back and go after a life like he talked about of purpose, of giving back and building that community. That legacy piece is just so cool. And now he's doing stuff with his daughter and she's involved in it, and doing things that he found joy in. And man, it's just so cool because I don't think that happens too often, where you see that generational giving back of stuff. And it's just so cool to see that happen.
No doubt. And just his focus on community, and I loved his description of community. He had me sold at food, fishing,
right?
Music, people. I loved it. That was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, he paints a great picture of what it's like to be able to go and hang out at one of his events. And I can't wait, dude. Yeah, we're all in support of him and being able to. He talked about he needs guides. I'm in, dude. I'll go help.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely be linking up to do something with him whenever we can. So awesome organization. Josh is a great guy. Can't wait to get on the water with him. And it was a great conversation.
Absolutely. good stuff, dude. And it supports everything that we're doing. So it's awesome.
Another great one in the books. We'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too. Talk soon.
Bye.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our website, guysfishingweekend.com, to check out the GFW merch, sign up for our newsletter, and learn how to get involved with the community. We appreciate you spending even a little bit of your week with us and are glad to have you along on the journey. Stay legendary and happy fishing.